Hey everybody, welcome to J&J On Jazz, powered by Jazzwire.
My friend Jeff here is wearing a very stylish purple shirt that he bought at Macy's.
Thank you very much. And my friend James here is wearing the pinkest hockey jersey I've ever seen.
And on the back, it says 8th Note King, and my number is 00.
The back of my shirt's got nothing. I'm outclassed immediately here. Oh, Lord. All right, let's get going. So today we want to talk about sus chords. And man, I mean, for years and years, suspended chords, a sus4 chord, would be a little bit scary to me. And I always found myself so limited, and I knew what a sus chord was, but I just felt like I had my hands behind my back for the longest time. And I thought, I think maybe I wanted to talk to James about this because, frankly, I just want to know, what you get into on this kind of chord. So, man, fill us in. Sus chords.
I love this. When I was in college, I had somebody tell me, well, you shouldn't play Mixolydian because that has a third in it, and the sus chord doesn't have a third. And you shouldn't necessarily play Dorian because it's not a minor chord. I'm like, cool, so what the heck am I supposed to play?
That I only know two things, and now I can't do either of them.
And so, right, exactly. And so a lot of times back then when someone would tell me to play a scale, I would ignore them and play bebop, right? And that is still what I do to this day.
Sweet.
So I have a real just sort of like basic bebop approach to this, which is like, let's take the tune Maiden Voyage, which is like the first tune everybody learns to play sus chords on, right? It's also a beautiful tune. It's a Herbie Hancock tune. It's great, right? If you listen to the recording from that record, you'll hear a bunch of different approaches to this from Freddie. I think that's Dexter Gordon on that. I think or is it George Coleman? It might be George Coleman, right?
Yeah.
And Herbie, of course, you'll hear these great approaches. For me, I like to take that tune and just say, okay, the first chord is D7 sus. So I'm going to turn that into, in my brain, I'm going to turn that into a 2-5 that has D7 as the 5 chord. So what that means is A minor 7 to D7. Never going to resolve it to G, right? In my lines, I'm just going to play like I'm playing a repeated 2-5, A minor 7 to D7. Or I might just play ideas that I might play on A minor 7. So I've got the first two chords of Maiden Voyage, and I'll just go ahead and improvise over those like a couple times through. And what you'll hear is I'm going to try to use two sort of sounds. You'll hear me play like a D bebop sound that I would play over an A minor 7 to D7. And you might hear me play some ideas that sound like A melodic minor, right? And you'll hear me transpose those ideas up a minor third when the chord changes to F7 sus.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
And what I like is you were playing fantastic lines. They had fantastic shape, and then that, sort of bebop chromaticism that we know and we love. That's what gives it shape. But it sounded hip and modern and new. What sounded hip and modern and new? It wasn't you. It was the chord behind you, right? So you were playing great, fantastic, well-sculpted music, and then the sound of the chord, everything you played sounded great on it, but it gives it this other sound, right? So you were playing in a different context, but everything you played worked.
Yeah, I'm letting the harmony kind of do the work and make me sound hipper. That's, I've tried to make a career out of that, really. So
that's pretty good, man. Well, and so when we were talking about what is our approach going to be, and we don't compare notes on purpose to sort of, see what we can bring. The first 3 things on my list were basically that. One of the things I wrote down, the first thing I wrote down is like a D sus chord is literally A minor and D7 at the same time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll see D sus written as A minor 7 / D, right? It's an A minor 7 pedaling over the D, you could call it. And frankly, when you add up the notes in A minor 7, an A minor 7 arpeggio, a D7 arpeggio, you do end up with, that Dorian scale, that Mixolydian scale, and then we just pick and choose notes from there. So as you said, you can play just the minor, you can play just the dominant, you can play the 2/5, you can imagine them coexisting together. All that makes a ton of sense to me, man.
Cool.
That's very hip, and I'm slightly bugged that I let you go first because you picked basically what I was,
My motto is never follow the tenor player. That's always my motto. Go first.
Ooh,
yeah.
Very nice.
Yep.
All right. Hey, before I jump into a different angle for people, I want to remind you or let you know for the first time, we have 4 Jazzwire workshops coming up. These are one-day workshops, standalone workshops, and they're online. So no matter where you live on earth, you can attend these things. They're Thursday afternoons from 2 till 3:15 Eastern time. Now, if that doesn't happen to work for your time zone, if you happen to have a job, good for you, I guess. But you can attend. It's some people find them helpful or necessary. I'm not sure. I never went that direction myself. Anyway, October 7th, we're going to be talking about analyzing transcriptions. What do you do when you have a transcription? Whether you did it or you bought it or you got it online, what's a powerful way to use a transcription? We're going to look at a Sonny Stitt solo. On October 14th, we're going to talk about a particular cool minor pentatonic scale. Some people call it the Coltrane minor pentatonic. And I use it for playing on altered scales. I use it for playing on half diminished chords. It's a really hip sound that I want to kind of get you caught up on. And it sounds a little advanced, but anybody can play this pentatonic scale. On October 21st, Gospel and the Blues. We're going to tear apart some classic funky gospel kind of songs like Sister Sadie by Horace Silver or Moanin' by Bobby Timmons and see what's going on inside those tunes and what can we do to bring that sound to our playing. And then finally on October 28th, we're going to talk about fluidity. How do we get fluidity, that bebop flow? You just heard James playing with it. And yes, it's a lot of technique and fingers, but there's something more going on before the fingers. Everybody gets wrapped up in, my fingers don't move that fast. That's what we're going to be talking about. So each of those, they're $35 each, all 4 for $120. You can register right here. And there's only 15 people per workshop. The idea is it's interactive. It's not just, me on a YouTube video like this. It's really interacting and hearing you play and answering your questions in real time. They're a blast. We've done about 24 of these so far, 24 of these one-day workshops, and we're happy to do these last 4 of the year. All right, so sus chords. There's really a lot of ways to go with sus chords. And I've gotten more and more intrigued with voicings, like a piano voicing, and how we can use something like that for melodic information. When I hear what's Chris Potter practicing, what's Donnie McCaslin practicing, lots of great modern players. Well, I was just playing a Kenny Barron tune the other day, Voyage. And inside the melody of that song is a killer piano voicing. It's literally a voicing Kenny Barron uses to comp. Ba-do, 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 da. There's that sort of cool descending line.
I knew that's where that was. Yeah, yes, that makes total sense.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a voicing. So this idea of using voicings for melodic information, it's kind of hip. So the idea of a sus chord, we could sort of think as a pile of fourths. So I'm going to think in the key of F sus. I'm going to play an example right away. So even just so this idea of intervals of a fourth are kind of interesting to practice. So if I just play F, B flat, and E flat. Just that sound. I played the root, the fourth, the flat 7. And that gets us out of this sort of triadic sound. That's sort of the idea of what sus chords are going to do. How about if I start on the 5th scale degree? So I could play the 5th up to the root, up to the 4th, up to the flat 7. So something like that. Just playing around with fourths is sort of an interesting thing to do, and it gets us away from the licks we know. So everything James said, I totally agree with and totally use all the time. But this idea of introducing that different interval of a fourth, that's what we were hearing in all the Blue Note post-bop kind of stuff. Not all of it, but a lot of it when we're listening to Joe Henderson and everything. So can you play a Mixolydian scale in fourths? I can't. Let's try that again.
I can't either.
So it would be cool if we heard the chord back there, but just that idea about start organizing some of your playing not around thirds, which would be that bebop, classical music, Mozart approach, but, fourths. That can be kind of interesting. Here's another one. I'll play an example of this for you. I like this idea of triad pairs. Do you ever use triad pairs, James, or is that something you've investigated or checked out or teach?
I've checked it out. I do teach it. It's something that I don't use a ton of because it doesn't lay very well on the trumpet. But I've had students, saxophone players and guitar players, I've worked with the concept and helped them to think through like how they can make melodic sense of it. Sometimes it's a good defense mechanism for tenor players when guitar players are barraging them with pairs of triads, right? So it can
for sure.
Self-preservation, right?
Yeah. So a great triad pair. So let's say I'm in the key again of F sus, play an F triad, and then play a triad down a whole step, an E flat triad. So F A C, and then E flat G B flat. And so those two triads can sound pretty hip. So yeah, that's sound, and sort of going back and forth. And that is sort of coming from voicings a little bit. All right, so those two triads, you can mix them around kind of any way you want. So what I'm going to do is play the McCoy Tyner tune, Passion Dance, which is just a whole boatload of F sus. And I'm going to improvise a little bit, and I'll start off maybe with some of those fourths that I was talking about, just diatonic fourths using the F Mixolydian scale. And then I'll get into using some of the triad pairs. And it's a cool, interesting shape. It's, frankly, I love what James did, that bebop sound. What James did, it might sound a little bit more intricate. What I'm going to do might sound a little more, I don't know, do we call it stark or modern or whatever? It's using this sus sound a little bit more. And I'm going to use all of these things as I'm soloing. I'm never going to use just triad pairs for two choruses. That one trick kind of it's not going to last forever, right? Whereas playing great bebop lines, that can kind of last forever. So let me play here for you a little bit.
So Jeff, when I hear cats play that way, and I love the way you sound by using all those different devices, to me it's really great to hear the mix of sounds that are linear and those that are more intervallic. It makes the sound seem more open. That's the best word I can use to describe it. When you play that way,
I love it.
And even with my hands, I'm not Ricky Bobby. I know what to do with my hands. Like it makes it's like things are stacked, right? So I love that open sound. It makes me think of wider intervals, and it's cool.
I dig that. Well, yeah, before I think I said modern or stark, or, I'm thinking of modern architecture or something. But yeah, those wider intervallic sounds, that's exactly it.
Open.
And so that sounds right, open, modern, whatever. So yeah, so it's pretty hip. So when I want that sound, I can call upon these couple devices, practice them a bit, and you've got them going. And then when we want that more intricate, filigreed, intense sound, the bebop stuff works like crazy. So this is fantastic. Two really pretty different approaches that you don't use them at the same time, because in a sense they're not opposites, but they don't coexist. But man, to play them side by side, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and I think, just a plug for Jazzwire too. What I love about working with different players and especially adults who are on this journey to try to unlock sort of the sounds that are in their heads. A lot of times players have these different sounds already in their mind's ear to play over harmonic episodes like sus chords, and you're going to encounter a mix of people who have to approach it very methodically, who want to think about what these sounds are from a theoretical standpoint, and then you'll also approach a whole bunch of people you'll find a bunch of people who have approached it strictly by ear and have been making it work for years, and they can't tell you what it is that they're doing. And that's another real value for being part of a learning community like Jazzwire, where you can not only get into other people's concepts, but learn how they think about the music and how their brains process those sounds. That's one of the beauties, I think, of a community like that. So
man, I love it. And that's exactly it. We've got hundreds and hundreds of people from 25 different countries. So no, everyone didn't go to the same school or read the same magazine or study with the same teacher down the street, right? We have students who learn in drastically different ways, who are coming at the music. They've been listening to the music for 70 years. Some people have been listening to the music for 7 months, right? And so I love that idea of how different people process it differently and how we can learn from each other, right? So that's what it's all about. So man, thank you for sharing your approach here. That was great. And I know a lot of people are going to be really freed up to use the vocabulary that they already have, and to be allowed to use that stuff on sus chords, man, that's fantastic.
Well, and thanks for reminding me how important it is to be able to mix those things up with open ideas and different sorts of shapes. It's always good for me to hear that too, because bebop is my comfort zone, and so forcing myself to get out of it on these sorts of open-sounding harmonies is always going to make me a little bit happier with how I sound. So
yeah, no doubt.
Dig it.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. I hope you sign up for one or maybe all 4 of these Jazzwire workshops coming up in October. You can attend them live, which is best, of course. But if you're not free during that hour, sign up and get the recording, $20 each for the recording. And it's really great stuff. There's always PDFs and a lot of information to share, the video, the audio of the class, everything like that. So jump on Schedulista and grab your spot. They usually go, within the week, they're often gone. So jump on one right now. James, good to see you, man. And I just got to tell you, you're my hero wearing that shirt. You're just a gutsy guy.
Hey, man.
Pink hockey
You know
jersey.
what? Just don't skate with your head down. That's all I can say. That's, yep.
We're going to leave it right there. Take care.
See ya.